Fixing noon kickoffs makes sense. Legislating them doesn't.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to your Feel Good Friday edition of Locked On Buckeyes, which is your daily Ohio State podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, veteran sports talk host, delivering passionate coverage about your Buckeyes. And today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. During today's show, we'll answer your questions about Buckeye football, as well as some realistic changes we might see at Ohio State. But first, y'all, I had no idea that when Fox announced they would be broadcasting Texas versus Ohio State in week 1 at noon, that topic would carry us throughout the rest of the week. I don't like the game being at noon kickoff. I'm sure a lot of you don't like that game being kicked off at that time either. But you know who else doesn't like it? Tex Fisher. That name might not ring a bell, but he is an Ohio State representative that recently proposed a bill that, if it goes into effect, would have an impact on games like this one. The bill states that would be no game that can start before 3:30 that features a state university, i.e. Ohio State, and an opponent that is ranked within the top 10 of the AP poll. The only exception is Ohio State, Michigan. That still stays in its traditional noon kickoff slot. The bill would also fine either the Big Ten or the network broadcasting the game $10 million if it violates the rule. Now, I am all for trying to find ways to make sure these top matchups are kicked off at the appropriate time slot. I mean, big-time matchups like this should always be, to me, in prime time, at worst 3:30 or 4 p.m. Eastern kickoffs, not at noon. But I don't think legislating and trying to pass a bill to make sure this thing goes into effect is the way to fix noon kickoffs. Absolutely not. To me, the only way to fix this bill, or not the bill, but to fix the kickoff issue, is to get all the representatives from the universities together to make up the Big Ten Football Conference, the presidents, the chancellors, the athletic directors, also Tony Petitti, also get the representatives from NBC, CBS, and Fox to come together whenever the time is right in the contract that is a new TV deal to make sure that you get primetime games in the correct slot. Now, I understand Fox's broadcast strategy. I think it's a great one. I'm not knocking Fox at all. Fox wanted to be bigger when it came to broadcasting college football games. Now, back in the 2000s, they were the only other network besides ESPN or ABC to broadcast a BCS National Championship game. That was on Fox. I believe Ohio State and Florida was on that network, was on Fox at that point in time. But that was back, almost 20 years ago? All of a sudden in 2015, about 10 years ago now, Fox started to do a whole lot more with college football, and FS1 got Colin Cowherd to put his radio show there on the television. So you got his radio show, which was one of the biggest ones in the country at the time, to go from ESPN radio to Fox Sports Radio, but also have a simulcast that was different from the one that was on ESPNU. And Fox did a lot of big things there that led to them doing their big noon pregame show and then big noon kickoff. I understand what they're doing. But now with the way that Ohio State is as a brand, not just now, but even back then, Ohio State's brand is the biggest one in the Big Ten. Yeah, I know USC is there. I know Michigan's there. I know I ain't going to go that far and mention that one, not put them in those two categories. I get it. Ohio State's the biggest brand. And when you're the biggest brand, you might be put in spots when you're selected by a TV network that favors a network. It might not favor the fan. It might not favor some of the media members or analysts. It might favor simply the broadcast company. And I get it. Fox wants to be a bigger piece of the pie. I'm not mad at them for it. But when the new TV deal went into effect, Fox was able to get the first pick of the week and of Big Ten games. And yeah, they could trade and send a game to a different network so they can make sure they get the game they want. That's a great strategy. The whole drafting of TV college football games, it has intrigued me. At one time, I was really into it, digging into it. And I get it. Fox is there. But I don't think legislation is a way to fix this. Don't bring the government into the sport. Not this part of the sport. Absolutely not. Now, there are times that the government has to come in, not just to the sport, but because you got to follow the laws of the land. Here's one. If you're a foreign born college football player, they are going to restrict you on how much NIL you can make because you got to follow the laws. If you come to America, there are certain rules and guidelines you got to follow, and some of them have to do with how much money you can make. Now, of course, there's ways to make more money. I don't know all of those rules and laws. I just know that there are some laws about certain things like that. I don't like it, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. But this portion of it, and even what not Nick Saban, Donald Trump was trying to fix NIL. Come on, man. Y'all know me, the everydayers know I don't bring the government or politics into this show at all. I didn't even really talk about the guy that proposed something about flag planting after Michigan planted the flag in Ohio Stadium in Thanksgiving weekend. I didn't bring that on the show because I didn't feel like that was worthy of doing it, of bringing on and talking about it. This is different because Tex Fisher, he's trying to speak for the people of Ohio. And the people of Ohio, a lot of the big-time fans like us, don't like noon kickoffs for big-time games. Now, here's one thing I think that I hope would be, I'll say that for the very next segment. That's a realistic change that I think could happen in the future. But don't do it, man. Don't do it. A realistic way to change the noon kickoffs and not bring the government into it is to make sure ESPN and ABC have a seat at the table. Because in the new TV deal, it was very, very clear that Fox had 12, the 12 o'clock window, CBS has a 3:30 window, NBC has a 7:30 window. That's very clear and laid out in the new TV deal. Now, if you bring ESPN or ABC into the mix, that's not going to be the case because you can't have, now you got 4 networks and 3 time slots. That wouldn't work. And who does the best coverage of college football on regular television, on the cable? I mean, ESPN? I have no problem saying that. I think they do a better job than Fox. I don't go to FS1 or Fox for my college football news. I don't even know if Fox or FS1 has a regular, even weekly, once or twice a week college football podcast. I don't know. I know ESPN has one. I don't know. I know CBS has one, the Cover 3 podcast, but that's not daily. Got to go to my guy, Spencer McLaughlin of Locked On College Football, to get that daily fix of college football right here at the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. ESPN does a great job covering the sport. Absolutely, they do. So why the Big Ten decided to not have ESPN and ABC there and have a seat at the table? And with the new TV deal, well, I know ESPN went all in on the SEC, and I don't blame them. I don't blame them at all. I think the Big Ten had a big miss. You got to have ESPN there. Now, I'm not a big fan of having all these networks having a seat at the table, but if NBC is continuing to do what they are and pour more money, not just into college football, but in sports in general, and they're getting back into the broadcasting NBA games, what are you going to see them do the next time the TV deal comes up? Try to put more money into it. You know who also might try to get into it? Amazon, Netflix. They're going to try to get into it too. Now, money's going to talk there, but make sure the next time the new TV deal comes up, you got people in there that have multiple time slots, and they can pick games like this one, Ohio State and Texas, to not be kicked off at noon. Take the government out of it. Legislation, a bill passing, get that up out of here. No, government don't need to be a part of this conversation. Ohio State people, Big Ten people, the people that are in charge, they are smart enough to make the change. Will they do it? We got to wait and see. What we don't have to wait and see is discussing some realistic changes we might see with Ohio State football, and one of them has to do with the game against Michigan. This episode is brought to you by Game Time. The NFL schedule release just dropped, and you better believe I'm already looking at my fall calendar and picking which games to hit. Game Time makes scoring NFL tickets just as easy. If you've never used Game Time to grab NFL seats, now's the time. It's seriously a game day upgrade. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply again. Create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. This episode is also brought to you by EPICOR. Every team knows the value of hard work, of taking pride in what you build, and practicing every detail to get the best results. But no one player, no matter how amazing, can do it all alone. Working together makes getting the win easier. At EPICOR, the All-Stars are the hard-working manufacturers and distributors who create and deliver the things we all need, from aerospace to electrical to medical devices. EPICOR ERP solutions are created by industry experts to help make every day easier. Seeing your whole supply chain is easier. Managing logistics is easier. Responding to price changes is easier. From small businesses with big dreams to growing enterprises with global vision, we'll equip you with the right tools to move forward, think ahead, and lead the way. Because as the clock ticks down, you need to make the most of every hard-working minute. Easier doesn't cut corners. Easier takes the lead. Discover your success at www.easierwithepicor.com. That's www.easierwithepicor.com. Thank you all for tapping and Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. Before we go any further, I apologize for the technical issues this week. Some of them we thought were worked out. We got all the kinks out of the way, and unfortunately, there were still some there. Video was not up to par. The audio, unfortunately, there have been some everydayers hitting me up talking about, hey, man, your audio's not where it needs to be. Maybe it's the mic. Working through it. I apologize. Even make some changes to the house to hopefully not allow this trend to continue. Now, there's one trend that I hope continues, and it's one that Ross Bjork has been talking about, and we saw in the home playoff game against Tennessee, and that is change. Change has come to Ohio State, and change isn't going away. Ross Bjork has been very, very open about some changes he would like to see to Ohio Stadium, to the shot, and to just simply the Ohio State game day experience. If we stick with football, the game day experience to me at Ohio State, my first time going to the shoe, I was maybe in awe of the shoe and the rotunda and just a game day experience, walking up, seeing the mobile gift shop and seeing 97.1 The Fan with their own setup. As a guy that loves listening to sports talk radio, that was one. I was like, oh, man, listen to those guys on the radio, and they're right there. So, I just taking it all in, soaking it all in. But the game day experience, even for people that went out to Oregon and went out to Eugene, Oregon for the Ohio State-Oregon game, they were saying, man, that stadium seats, 55,000, no more than 60,000? And them fans were loud, even during the timeouts. Every timeout, there were things going on in game that were drastically different than what you saw at Ohio State. And I think going forward, you're going to see Ohio State do things as they did against Tennessee to amp up and hype up the game day experience. Ross Bjork talked about some details that even someone that looks at everything may gloss over. In an interview, I forget who he did it with, he talked about simply moving the TV truck for the company broadcasting the game. Because simply moving that would open up space for fans to enjoy and allow different things to happen. But also in game, I don't know all of the changes or even realistically some that would happen, but I know one against Tennessee, not only the drone show that they had, but also third down, second down, right there above the tunnel where you come out before going to your seats in each section. They turned that into an LED show, and it was just flashing red. Of course, that was a scarlet out that night. But that's just one of the things you're going to find. It was more noise. It was louder. Different things are piped in. And I think not just in the upcoming season, but over the next 3 to 5 years, you're going to find Ross Bjork and as well with the decision makers and those that got the money to make more changes like that for the in-game experience. So you can have a better experience watching games there at the shoe. And also it rivals some of the atmospheres like you saw out there in Austin Stadium, like you would see if you go down south, like you'll see in some of the tradition-rich stadiums around the country. I think Ohio State is a tradition-rich program, but the game day experience sometimes doesn't match that. Another one that I think is realistic. These are all realistic, I believe. The third one may take some time, but I believe Ohio State should wear their all-black jerseys once a year in a primetime game, in a big-time matchup, pull out the all-black, and let it rock. Every single year. If Penn State comes to town, let's just say it's not a noon game, but it's a primetime game, pull out the all-black and go. Absolutely go. Now, another one, it's one that I've done a lot when I play EA Sports College Football 25, and that is mix and match the colors of the jerseys. I mean, there's no reason why Ohio State shouldn't be able to wear black pants and a white jersey in an away game. Or if you want to do something a little bit different, a black top and white pants at a home game, let's say a red top and white pants, there's absolutely no reason why Ohio State doesn't already do this. I know, and I talk about this quite a bit. I haven't said this in a while, but I remember when Caden Curry was playing at Center Grove High School, and they were a red, black, and white color scheme school. And during his junior and senior years, there were times I would go to games and I was thinking, oh, they got a different color scheme tonight. Oh, that's different. I haven't seen that one. And they were just mixing and matching. They got an all black. They got an all white. I don't know if they had an all red, but they had a red. I believe they had a red jersey. It's mix and match. This works here. This works there. There's a team locally that I cover on the high school side of things that has purple, black, I believe even a silver jersey. What do they do? Silver pants, at least. They mix and match. I remember last year, one of the coaches, the head coach actually was like, hey, when the kids wanted to do this, they haven't done it before. And we let them do it. It's fun. It's enjoyable, but also it's realistic. Now, the only thing that I think may say it's not realistic is Nike. If Nike has restrictions on how many times Ohio State can wear a certain jersey based off, well, them making that color and having extras of it, I get that. I understand it. I get it. But Ohio State's a big enough brand. If you wear your all blacks in the primetime game, what's that going to mean? More black jerseys are sold. If you wear your grays, if you reserve those for a homecoming, what's it going to do? Sell more of your gray jerseys. If you wear your of course you're going to wear red automatically, but your whites in certain specific matchups, it's going to help Nike. So if Nike gets on board and allows Ohio State to mix and match, what's it going to do? Put more money in Nike's pocket. Now, here's another one that I think is realistic, but might take some time because Ohio State has a home and home with one of the schools I'm going to mention. It goes with Notre Dame and Clemson scheduling a 12-year scheduling agreement. Now, those schools are Notre Dame's a wannabe ACC school in football, and so in the years that they're scheduled to play Clemson, it's going to be a conference game. But in the years that Notre Dame is not scheduled to play Clemson, it's going to be a non-conference game. But I think that 12-year cycle where Notre Dame and Clemson are going to play each other back and forth, I love that. And I would love to see Ohio State take the same move. 100%, absolutely. Now, the one thing for Clemson is that, well, they play 8 conference games. One of the non-conference games is always an FCS school, which that's not going to happen at Ohio State. But I think Ohio State can still play and schedule a 10-year, 12-year, 20-year home and home agreement with some of the following schools: Texas, Oklahoma, Florida, Florida State, Georgia, Tennessee, Ole Miss, Miami. I think all 8 of those schools, I would love to see Ohio State schedule a home and home with them. And I mentioned it may take some time because Ohio State and Georgia have a home and home coming up really, really soon. I believe after Ohio State has a home and home with Alabama, which starts in a couple years. But if you do Texas and Oklahoma, that's also going to help you in recruiting. If you do Florida, Florida State, or Miami, that's going to help you in recruiting. If you do Georgia, that's also a recruiting thing. Tennessee and Ole Miss, that's just SEC country. Tennessee, some of those fans think they're better than Ohio State. So go down there and shut them up. Ole Miss, not Lincoln Riley. Why can I not think of this coach's name? Lane Kiffin. There you go. He's going to talk, but also he's going to have a really good team. Really good team that's really good at recruiting, that's been pushing and inching itself closer to being a more well-respected program. Do it. I think Tennessee and Ole Miss are more realistic than the others. However, I would start with Texas and Oklahoma and work my way on down. I'm not working my way on down with the questions that you have asked. I'm going to work my way at the top. First question, second question, and third question, and answer your questions about Ohio State football next. This episode is brought to you by Wayfair. The days are getting longer, the weather's warming up, and people are spending more time outside, which means it's a perfect time to refresh your outdoor space. Whether you're working with a backyard or a small balcony, Wayfair has everything you need to make it feel more like you. Wayfair's massive selection of outdoor essentials makes it easy to transform any space into your ideal summer setup. From comfy conversation sets to sleek dining tables and outdoor decor, they've got it all. And at prices that fit your budget. Grab a new patio dining set and some string lights from Wayfair to help extend your outdoor space. The delivery is free and hassle-free, even for the big stuff. Whether you're entertaining guests or just relaxing solo, shop Wayfair to help you unwind. Shop a huge selection of outdoor furniture online. This summer, get outside with Wayfair. Head to wayfair.com right now. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair. Every style, every home. Thank y'all for tapping Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. Remember, make sure you guys subscribe and follow Locked On Buckeyes right there on the YouTube or Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen to your fine podcast. If you're an Apple or Spotify listener, make sure you go out there and leave a 5-star review. Only 5 stars right here, baby. And just leave a comment. Let us know your thoughts with the show. And maybe if you got a question there, leave that there as well. We got 3 questions direct centered around thoughts you have because it came from you. And we're going to go 1, 2, and 3. The first question is this. Why does it feel like Ohio State always gets stuck playing top teams at noon while others get prime time? Feels like we're getting the short end of the stick. What's really going on? Now, I didn't mention this earlier in the first segment talking about keeping the government out of the decision about Ohio State playing noon games. But there are times Fox decides to move their big game of the day to 4 o'clock or maybe even 7:30 or 8. And it's not always because of a West Coast game. Iowa and Iowa State one day was Fox's big noon game. The big broadcast was not there, but it did get the big noon pregame show. It got Jason Benetti and Brock Heward there on the broadcast. But that was your big game. Wasn't an Eastern time zone, so maybe Fox said we can push it back when it's Central time to 4 p.m. Eastern to be 3 p.m. local, and that'd be better for the locals. Maybe that's why. But I think with the pushback that Fox has gotten recently, if it is Ohio State versus, let's say, Penn State, or let's say Illinois and Ohio State are top 10 teams when those two teams play this year, let's say Fox picks the game. It wouldn't shock me if at some point they realize we can give the other school a different platform, not just because they're playing at Ohio State, but by changing the time, it's going to benefit Ohio State, it's going to benefit the other school, it's going to benefit Fox too, to go ahead and move that. So yes, Ohio State gets a short end of the stick because one, they're the biggest brand of the sport, and Fox is dead set on putting their big game of the weekend most of the time at 12. USC, UCLA would not be a 12 noon Eastern kickoff. That's 9 a.m. local on the West Coast. That ain't going to happen. But also, the other big brands of the sport in the conference are down. If you think about the teams that could have the biggest draw, Penn State, but Penn State's not down, but Penn State's not Ohio State. So Ohio State's going to get picked more. Michigan is down. There was a time a couple years ago that Michigan had quite a few noon games. Why? Because they were a good team that eventually won the national championship. USC is another big brand of the sport in the conference. They're down. They're also in a different time zone, far west in the Pacific time zone. So they're not even going to be thought about playing at 12 noon. Ohio State's a big brand. They bring in eyeballs. They get ratings. I don't think there's another school in the country that brings in eyeballs like Ohio State. You got to think about maybe. I mean, Notre Dame does. They're on NBC. Alabama, maybe. But outside of that, those are the 3 schools that I would think, hey, if they're on TV, you're going to get a top rating for the game. It's more Ohio State being the biggest brand, being so good, being so consistent. USC being down, Michigan being down. Ohio State's the biggest brand. Fox wants to put the biggest brand at that time slot. And right now it's Ohio State. Question number 2. Caleb Downs is entering his junior year. How big of a role do you see him playing on defense this season? And I think his role this year is going to be similar to the role that he played last year, but I think it's going to be a little bit different. Not so much because of a different defensive coordinator, but he's going to be asked to be more of a coach on the field than he was a year ago. Think about it. Last year's team had 8 guys get drafted into the 8 defensive players get drafted into the NFL. The whole starting D line, Cody Simon, Denzel Berkeley, the ransom Jordan Hancock. I mean, that's a lot of really good top end talent that's not there. So easily the guy that's playing alongside Caleb Downs is going to be a new starter. Jermaine Matthews Jr. is viewed as a starter, but was viewed as a starter by Tim Walton a year ago. But what do we know now about Jermaine Matthews Jr.? He is going to be a starter, not just viewed as a starter. He is going to be a starter. Caleb Downs can help him. Arvell Reese played a lot last year in a backup role, but now he's going to be asked to play a whole lot more. Downs are going to help him. A new starting defensive line. They got to listen to the guy in the back that's controlling everything. Remember, well, I don't know if Ohio State's going to have a safety-driven defense like it did under Knowles. I do know the safeties are going to be very, very important, and they can see everything. Remember Jordan Fuller, how he kind of control and roam and help everybody stay aligned. It's going to be kind of Caleb Downs too, but Caleb Downs is still going to be one of the best safeties in the country. Wouldn't be shocked if he was a top 5 pick in the upcoming NFL draft in 2026. He's that kind of player. I don't think he'll be a number 1 pick because of the position he plays. However, if it happens, I would be very, very happy that it did. I think that pretty much, at least from my eyes, sums up his role. He's going to be a coach on the field, help with a lot of the younger talent, the inexperienced guys, but still going to be a guy that's going to be doing the same things. He might be more aggressive in the run game. He might be more aggressive in the pass game. If he's more aggressive, y'all better watch. No, not you as an individual. The opponents of Ohio State better watch out, because that dude is a menace on the field, and nobody wants to see him roam in the back half of Ohio State's defense. Last but not least, question number 3. What's the key for Ohio State finally beating Michigan this year? Is it about offense, defense, or something else entirely? I think in general it's about the offense, because Ohio State's defense last year, if you just look at last year's game, played good enough to win. The offense didn't get the job done. And I don't really want to put it on the players, even though the players are the ones on the field between the lines. Ryan Day has to just coach like it's the last game he's ever going to coach. Don't try to do anything cute. Don't try to prove a point. Coach like it's the last game of your career. Because if he did that last year, my goodness, Ohio State blows out Michigan. I mean, the Wolverines didn't have a quarterback. And I know Bryce Underwood may be the starter. I don't know if it's going to happen. They had another quarterback in the competition that didn't go during spring. So things in Michigan with the quarterback battle, you think Ohio State's it's really close. Michigan hasn't really got to see these two guys go back and forth in practice yet. So just you wait and see. The stuff coming out of Ann Arbor will be interesting to follow all season. But I think it's more about Ryan Day, the way he coaches. I think Ohio State's had the talent to beat Michigan over the past 4 years. 2023, Michigan was a better team. 2022 and 2021, Michigan played better than Ohio State did in those games. And so while Michigan played better in a couple of years, I mean, they played better in 23 as well. They had a better team last year. Who played better overall? Michigan played better. I'm a fan like you are. However, I got to call it like I see it. That game, if Ryan Day gets out of his own way and he doesn't try to prove a point, Ohio State blows the doors off of Michigan, because there was no way last year Michigan had the goods and the firepower to keep up with what Ohio State was going to throw at them on the field. Those are the questions for the day. If you want to do another mailbag, and I'm sure you do, be looking out on the YouTube community tab, or maybe you want to send a question to me directly. You can do that. Hit me up in the DM on the Twitter. Email me, whatever you want to do to get at me, and we'll answer your questions on a future mailbag episode. Thank y'all for tapping Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. For your second listen, check out the portal, because my guy Brian Smith has won the latest rumors to information about portal entries and signings, and you could be the most informed fan on the rapid changes to the college football landscape. Find the portal wherever you find Locked On Buckeyes, on the YouTube, and wherever you listen to your fine podcasts. You can follow me on any social media platform at jstevens07. Send every email to jstevens317@gmail.com. This has been Locked On Buckeyes right here on a Friday. Y'all will see you next time.